My daughter passed away 2 years ago. She was only 5 years old. She was one of those kids that made your heart melt with the sweet things she would tell you. She constantly told me how I was the best mommy and she'd never met a stranger. She was kind and wise for just 5 years old. Our town is creating a day of memorial for her and the other two girls that went missing that year. Getting ready for this has prompted me to write to others and warn them so that you can find answers too. In the spring of 2015, a little girl went missing from our town. This town is a place where you plant roots and start a family. It's one of those too good to be true types of things. Maggie Wallace disappeared on her way home from school one afternoon in April. There was no evidence left behind to even give the slightest hint to what happened. She just vanished. The police were baffled by this and worked tirelessly until there was just nothing left to work off of. Maggie's parents were devastated. We lived in the same neighborhood. I took a meal to them the week of the funeral. As I walked down the street, I surveyed the homes that were around me. Each one had a unique style and warmth to them. Kids were playing in the front yard, and the happy giggles filled the warm spring air. I passed by the old Victorian house on the corner. Mrs. Dyer had passed away a few months ago and left the place to her grandson. He was odd, the type of person that kept to himself most of the time. I had only exchanged passing glances at him these past few months. I couldn't tell whether he was just shy or didn't want to be social at all. He was always in a hurry though, and no matter what, he burst through the door of the house and shut it directly behind him. No one came in or out besides him. As I finished my thought, I had reached the Wallace household. The personality surrounding that house was gone. The youngest, Anna, sat out front on the swing. Her head was hanging low as she shuffled her feet back and forth. "Hi, Anna. How are you?" I asked, closing the gate behind me. "I'm okay," she muttered through her lips. The front door opened and Ashley Wallace stood in the doorway. Her face was blotchy from crying, and she had on the same sweatpants and shirt that I had seen her in at the beginning of the week. I fought back tears as I approached the door. "Hi, Ashley. I didn't know what else to do other than bring you some food so you don't have to cook. How are you?" I said as I passed the food into her hands. "Lily, thank you. We are trying to get through the days one step at a time. Thank you for the food. I don't mean to be rude, but Ryan will be home any minute and I need to get dinner on the table. I'll talk to you soon." She shut the door slowly. I didn't take offense as I saw that Ryan was already home. I wouldn't want to talk with anyone either. I walked back home the way I had come. The next week, however, I did the same thing for the Cook family. Emily Cook disappeared as she was walking the family dog one afternoon. Nobody was found, and no trace was left as to where they could find their little girl. Then it was our turn. One morning, my daughter was playing in the front yard. I ran inside to grab my phone that I had left in the kitchen. I was only gone about 2 minutes. When I came back out to the front yard, my baby girl was gone. My heart started racing as I called for Lacey. I started going down the sidewalk and knocking on our neighbors' doors to see if anyone had seen her or what might have happened to her. No one had any information that could help, and after 14 days with no leads, the police made this a cold case. We were left with nothing but Lacey's empty bedroom. None of us had any answers. We continued to search for another year. Around March of 2016, Mrs. Dyer's grandson committed suicide. No one found him until the man's mother couldn't reach him for a few days. It was on that day that we finally got our answers. I got a phone call from the sheriff the morning they found him. "Lily, this is Dan down at the police station. I need you and Mark to come in this afternoon so that we can talk. We found a lead on Lacey," he said grimly. I told him we would be there and immediately called my husband to tell him about the meeting. Dan said that 3 bodies were found in Mrs. Thayer's home. He wanted us and the other families to go identify the bodies before they were moved. We pulled up in front of the home. It had begun to decline once Miss Thayer passed. The landscaping was overgrown and covered part of the windows on the ground floor. The porch was starting to decay, and some of the stairs leading to the house were dilapidated. The beautiful white and black house that once boasted with life sagged with the weight of decay. We followed Dan up the front sidewalk and into the front door. The front room was dark. All of the light fixtures had been taken down. On one side of the room was an old console television set with porcelain dolls sitting perfectly on top of it. On the other side of the room was a small table intended for children. It was old and stained, but had all 4 places set for a tea party. The cups all had stale water in them and were prepared for the festivities. My gut twisted as we continued to walk upstairs. There was another larger doll that greeted us at the top of the stairs. She had flowing blonde hair and was dressed in a blue dress. Her face was different than the porcelain dolls. It looked as though it had been repainted. I quickly turned my head toward the bedroom where Maggie Wallace screamed and fell to the floor. I walked over to one of the bedrooms to see pink walls and princess decorations. In the corner of the room sat another table. This time, 3 life-size dolls sat in the chairs. The hair was done meticulously in hair bows. Their dresses were the finest you could buy in town, and they were prepared to have a tea party. As I looked closer, though, I noticed that one of them looked similar to my Lacey. As soon as I saw her birthmark on the doll's left arm, I knew it was her. I ran up to the doll and touched it. The skin was ice cold and felt foreign to me. Her size and shape looked abnormal. I started sobbing. I tried to pick her up, but she was tied purposely in the chair to hold her place at the table. When I tried to pick her up, a voice came out of her. "Come play with us, Daddy." The chair fell out of my arms and I took a step back. It was another child's pre-recorded voice. The other 2 dolls responded in unison. "We are ready for our tea party." I ran down the stairs and out the front door. My lungs burned with the adrenaline rushing through my body. My little girl had been turned into a doll. The next day, the police did their investigation and found the man's suicide note. He mentioned each girl by name and stated that they were perfect for his collection. The man abducted children and preserved them to play with them. This man had abducted children from multiple cities across the country. I'm writing you all to urge you to contact your local police station if the abduction resembles what you may have gone through with your child. He has done this dozens of times, and you deserve answers.